What is that? Plagues? Plagues? Damn, he's real. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Plagues. Was that play for guess? Welcome. Yeah, just I wait a little bit and type a little bit. And yes, I'm real. It's hard to tell these days, right? The eye's getting better. Yes, yes. I mean, we have now three people. So where actually from? I know Mr. Young is a friend of mine. I don't know where you guys from. So let me know in the chat. I mean, it's the first live stream. I have no idea what I'm doing here, so it's gonna be interesting. Plugwise from Star Wars. I should have known this, right? I should have known this. Plugwise. Okay. Okay. It's the newer Star Wars stuff, right? I don't know this one. The Disney Star Wars thing. So we have the Master of Palpatine. As I said, it's going to be more of a Q&A character. I'm waiting for one guy. He said he's going to join. You wanted to know something about LinkedIn and freelancing and stuff? MTG is not really new. Okay. Okay, I stopped watching after the third one. I believe. You're the guy. The guy. Okay, so Gonan C35. Could you please repeat? Could you please repeat just for me? Because I don't know. I don't want to avoid logging into LinkedIn this time because I don't know what I'm going to show. Already, we have like 3 people already trolling. Imagine there would be like 400 people or more in this chat, and everyone is like, "I'm that guy." It's gonna be tough. So whoever the guy is, please repeat the question. It was something about how much should the hourly rate be when you start freelancing, right? Can I actually log into my LinkedIn? So every time I go into LinkedIn, it's giving me the ick. I really don't like LinkedIn. I think the whole platform is just really not good. And I don't even know what is my email. LinkedIn.com. Okay. Recently created, B2B company to work with companies remotely. I haven't got a tech job before. You have not got a tech job before and create a B2B company. How much should I charge? Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, that's really depends on so many factors, you know, on so many. Like I did before I started freelancing. I did 2.5 years roughly of working employed, doing the exact same thing I was about to do later. Right? I was employed. So I know I was a junior, and I believed my boss charged for me. I think it was like 120 or something euros. The client had to pay 120 for 1 hour of my time, but it was because it was a direct contract. Like my boss, this company was lucky to get this client directly without recruitment companies in between. So that was an extreme blessing. overall. Like mostly you have something like Haze or like so many Red Global, so many companies in between that cutting off percentage. So yeah, I don't know. And obviously, what was the money that arrived on my bank account after being employed was much less though. So how much do we charge? So it would be nice to know. I mean, can I find that out? Can I find Gonek Dolgan? Okay, that's you. I have on the laptop. I have my laptop here, and checking out your profile, application development. I don't really see a tech stack here, do I? Okay, C Sharp, ISP, and Core REST APIs. It's where would you position yourself? Is it more junior, senior? How much experience do you have? Okay. So you're studying, am I correct? You're studying and you have the company to make a little bit of cash on the side. Remote EU, UK. And you in Turkey. That is important to use. Yeah, without Vim. Yeah, with Vim, it's going to be actually like plus 1,000% because Neo-Vim people are really valued in the market. There was a joke. Junior just casual. So I see. Okay. So you have to be real. You're in Turkey. So usually the salaries in Europe is the more north you get, the more western, the more north you get, the higher the salaries and the higher the hourly rate. That's why I said 120 euros for a junior. More realistically, it would be like 80 euros for a junior, and for a German junior. That's important for a German one, or German-speaking one at least. And you're from Turkey, so realistically, my estimation, what I would pay, depending on the task, if you get $50 an hour, you would be lucky. These days. 2022, it was different. 2022, you could get 80, I believe, if you're lucky. But yeah, and the harsh reality is that you have to find a recruiting company that is able to provide you with a contract in the first place, usually. And they're going to take percentage. So you're going to end up with like 30, 35, something between 30 and 40. Realistically, just like my gut feeling from that, this is what you can charge. And this, if I was studying and I would get 40 an hour, like to me it would be fine. And at this stage of your career, you don't want to have any. You don't aim for money. Like the most valuable thing you can get at this stage is the reputation. Just to get something you can have to write on your CV. You did this and that project for this and that client in that field. That's the most important. Yeah. So with European companies, I was thinking something like I see 15, 20. Yeah. Yeah, .NET and C Sharp, they pay actually. The beautiful thing about this tech stack is that it's paid well. And yeah, I know, for example, like where do the numbers coming from that I'm throwing at you? Like one is what I know what is charged in Germany. The other thing is I know, for example, one guy, he's German and he works with freelancers from Romania, and he's able to those are senior C# developers, and he's able to sell them. He was at least that was 2023 when we talked, and he was able to sell them for $85 an hour, euros, because they were also C1 German. They had a certificate C1 German. This was speaking German, and half of the reason you get paid so much is the German language skill in this area, right? I do believe in countries like Belgium and Denmark and Norway, like these, if you're expert enough in the field, the national language learning skill doesn't matter too much. But in the German-speaking area, it's extremely important to speak German. Very much. I got my last contract because I was a German speaker. Thanks so much for the work I put into. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Michelle Wilson. Very much appreciated. Yes. Welcome. So what if I was you, do the 15 euros. Do the 15 euros. I do believe you don't have super high standards of living, right? You don't have 2 ex-wives and 2 cars and stuff like that. So you can, I remember when I was a student, My salary from my employer at the time was like 300 euros, 290. It was 300 euros, and the rent for the apartment was 290. And I was a little bit supported by my parents, not super crazy, but a little bit. And I built websites along the way. And then I was lucky enough to get an employer later when I had my bachelor's that actually had big clients and was a real consultant company. Okay. Thank God, no ex-wives, no payments. Yeah. So first, I'm gonna finish the job career thing. For is it Gönen? I hope I say it correctly. The Turkish name's a little bit tough for me. When I was young, back in the day, that might be insightful. I just finished my bachelor's, and I was preparing mentally for the, if you don't mind story time, there's not so many people in the chat, but so I hope you're fine with that. I was preparing mentally for the negotiation for the salary for my first job, and I was working for the company already for 1.5 years as a student, and then they would hire me, and I want this and that amount of money, because I was doing a little bit of research what developers in that area at this stage of their career would typically get, and I was aiming for 42,000 euros gross, because that was just a number on my mind. And I had no real idea why I would charge that number. It was just because everyone else, that would be the normal rate to charge, or the normal salary to have at that point. And that's why I went in with 42. And my boss at the time, here's how it actually was in my mind. I had a certain idea of how it would go, and then my boss came, and he had a paper, he had everything ready, and just passed the contract. And the contract said 37. And that was the whole negotiation. I didn't know what to say. I had no idea what to say, because I had no reason that I could give him to pay me more. There was nothing in my mind that I could tell him that would convince him to give me more than whatever number he could tell me. I said, fuck, man. Ugh. So I swallowed this one, and I made sure that this will never happen again. And the next conversation about my salary would be a real negotiation. And then the following 18 months after that, I was basically sleeping in the office. I was just working. I didn't think about money. I didn't think about whatever I make in future. I didn't even have any idea how much he would charge for my time. This was not important to me. My goal was in 18 months, something around the time horizon, we're gonna have a conversation, and I would be able to say, I want this amount because of this and that reason. And so I slept in the office, and I got better every day. I got to work a little bit earlier than other people, and I stayed a little bit longer. And I went the first hour of the day was always for, not crazy learning or stuff, just getting to know new tools, learning the basics that you have to do as a junior, right? Unit testing, and just getting to know the projects that I was working on a little bit better. And 18 months later, I was the guy the client was actually dealing with. It would actually hurt that if I would go. If he didn't give me what I wanted, it would actually hurt. And I knew this because all the work I put in and the value I was able to bring for the company and for the client. And then he knew this too. And he told me then, let's have a conversation about your salary. We're really happy about the work you put in. We really see that, really happy to have you here. So he knew this already, right? He's an OG. He knows the game. And I had the same conversation, and he said, Clemens, you're a really good worker. And he listed all the reasons. He had an Excel sheet. A spreadsheet with skills and ratings that how he would see me in that skills, like communication and even testing and presentation skills, and it all like 3 stars, super duper. And he said, Clemens, and that is why we want to give you 44. And I was like, yo, boss, that's cool. I want 50. And long story short, it went back and forth, and he was a little bit pissed at that moment, of course. But I got 50. I got what I wanted. And then I left the company, basically. I reached my goal, and there was nothing to get there anymore, like for me to grow any further. This is a very short version of the story. I have nothing bad to say about the company. Really, I still love my bosses. Really nothing bad to say. It was a beautiful time. I look back. My employed time as an employed software developer. That was one of my best years in the job, I have to say. So, anyways, the first years are not for the money, not at all. So if you're happy with $20, you should find something. That was it. That was it for that. So please give me. It would be nice if there's some feedback from you guys, if that's enough, or following questions or something like that. Otherwise, I would just. Yeah, that was gross. That was gross. That was like also pretty normal. That was not even too outrageous above normal. But it was more than he would be willing to give me. So we had a little fight back and forth, which is normal, which you have with your boss at times when it comes to, we're all friends. We're all friends until you tap my pockets, right? So that's normal. But it was a good moment, though. That was really important. I had one time, I had a colleague come in. It was a Saturday, I was in the office, and I was looking at I think it was some Postman. So I was looking at Postman, some stuff, was testing some stuff. And it was Saturday, my coworker came in, he forgot something in the office, and you see, what do you here? And I said, oh, nothing, I have a look at tests and stuff. And he said, oh, you know that every hour you work, we don't get compensated for more hours. We don't get compensation for that. We have one fixed salary. And there's a statement in the contract that says Überstunden sind mit dem Gehalt abgegolten. It just says that you're not compensated for overhours. You have one salary, and the more you work, the less your hourly rate for yourself basically becomes. And he told me that, and I said, I'm not here for the money though. I'm not going to do this forever, I said to him. And he was in this company already for 10 years. He was like shocked. He was like, what do you mean you don't do this? I said, I'm not going to do this forever. I'm not going to be employed forever. It's just like I'm just trying to get better here, okay? So, yeah, that was it. Mr. Young, please don't troll. Mr. Young, please don't troll. You learn, then you earn. Okay, it's not only for the money I want from programming, it's also the office environment. So listening to have these experiences makes it even more for. Yeah, it's a beautiful job. It's a beautiful job. It can be creative. You can build things that matter. Like we build systems. I was right at the start. I was lucky enough. We build systems that have millions of messages processed a day. Right? And it's really satisfying when you see that this stuff that you touched and you build actually works. It's cool. Right? So, yeah, overall, I highly recommend. Okay, Mr. Mitchell asked, you may already be aware, but the latest Rose and LSPS Razor working out of the box. I actually made a video about this, I believe. I made a video about this. 6. Go back. Channel content and the videos are. There's an update video of the Rose here. Part 2. We go. Here's NeoVim plus C# updates fixing Roselim when Razor language server is no more. This one. Can I share this? Okay. Anything else, my friends? Otherwise, I just type a little bit. There we go. Yeah, and I'm working on videos for the Voyager, because that is highly requested, at least, compared to my channel size and everything, compared to the size of my audience. Okay, so does free claimants mean you are free, or what should we free from you somewhere? Wait, that's actually a good question, though. What does free claimants mean? Claimants is my first name. And free means, yeah, I'm free. I'm free in my mind. Now the question is, what is freedom to you, right? So that's a deeper question. Actually, I'm about to make a video about this, but yeah, what's free claimants? Fifth sec. Read this. Yeah. So fifth sec says that you make money through functional software, and this costs money, and it takes money to pay the people who actually build functional software. Yeah, I mean, we all learn through pain, right? I mean, my boss was, he was a consultant himself, and he's able to program himself, so that is huge. And today I couldn't work for people who cannot code. I couldn't work for people who are higher in me than me in the hierarchy, and are less competent. It's just I cannot do this anymore. It's just too painful. He was one. Like, there was one company with three equal bosses in that company, and they were all extremely competent, I have to say, still to this day. But yeah, the most important thing is really when it comes to negotiation in any field. Like, what is that? I forgot the name of the book, but life is a constant negotiation. Everything's negotiation, right? We always have to give up something in order to give something to somebody. Everything's negotiation. Like when you have kids, right? You have kids and you want them. It's in the evening and they want to stop playing. You want them that they stop playing and get ready for bed, right? And then they instantly say what? They say, oh, but just one more hour. They start negotiating. It is so natural for us. And you can only really go into a negotiation if you know your value. And I know what is missing. Like my boss could now, in that particular situation, it was like 5 or 6K or something above what he wanted to pay me. But what he is losing if I leave, if he doesn't give me what I want, is 6 figures easily. So it's easy. It's a no-brainer basically. You have this whole back and forth, this whole dance that, oh yeah, I have to ask the other bosses and it's not so easy and someone has to pay for the coffee and all this nonsense. But in the end, if you know your value and your worth, then it's easy. You don't want to vibe code a boss that spends a weekend with Chloe. Yeah, I don't want that now. I do believe it's becoming worse. I don't feel like people learn from the situations that we have so much. Right? How do you see Sharp being accepted as mainstream full stack versus most common React? You don't use React in the backend, do you? Right? I mean, some people use Go. In the German-speaking market, React and Go, I mean, usually you would say, you look for a JavaScript guy. Companies would look for a JavaScript guy, oftentimes, and then it's just included these days that you know React and you know Vue and you know Angular. You're just an expert in all these things. It's just included when it comes to front end, and in the back end you would usually use C#. Usually Java often too, Python sometimes, but C# is still the GOAT in the German-speaking area. And now you have, since 2020, actually in 2020, I got a project for Blazor, which is kind of the JavaScript front-end competitor from Microsoft, which I think Blazor is beautiful. It's getting more mature every year and more competent. And I built some apps with that too. Now, I worked for 2.5 years for a medical device company to build a Blazor front-end. Yeah, it's every time about the adoption. Like, you have to have people who have the company. You have to have a company that is willing to invest also in the tech stack. Meaning, you have to have people with the skill, or at least people who are able to build the skill to build a website or something with Blazor or whatever it is. It's not just we do what sounds cool. We do what Primeagen says on YouTube. But you have to have it has to be realistic. If you have a team of 5 C# developers who, of course, know a little bit of HTML and JavaScript, it is appealing to say, look, like those exact 5 people could build a website with Blazor. Like the small learning curve to build that website because they already know C#, right? Okay, I move on. How do you see Babon? I have learned my over 20 years. If you don't ask, you're going to hire salary. Yeah, if you don't ask, no, you're done. Why would your boss... Why would your boss give you more money if he doesn't have to? I hear this over and over again. I hear people from all kinds of jobs, engineers and salespeople, and it doesn't matter. If you are not willing going into confrontation with your boss or whoever, right? It's confrontational. It is. Like you want his pocket. You want the cash, right? In that moment, we're not friends anymore for a second. And if you're not willing to do this, then yeah, your boss is just going to tell you, oh yeah, hit me up next week. I'm so busy this week. Let's talk next week. And you come next week and say, boss, how is it? We talking about my salary and stuff. You say, oh yeah, next week. And it's gonna go like that for 2 years, 3 years. But in the moment you say, look, I have I need a meeting with you because I have free opportunities from these companies and they pay me this much and we have to talk about this. Then he makes time. He makes time. Easy. Gimmick about your Blazor learnings. Yeah, make one video about Blazor learnings though. I will see. Blazor is huge. You have the server-side Blazor and you have the mix and you have the WASM and everything. Yeah, I write this down. Might be interesting. Blazor video, learnings on Blazor. But I love it as a technology. I really love it. And the way it is now, it's really mature. It just blows my mind how Blazor almost replaced JS so much faster than dealing with. Yeah, JS is crazy. Like every day, there's a new framework, even better than the worst one. Even plays TypeScript. Mind you, I do believe TypeScript is an invention of Microsoft, isn't it? No. Cool. Yeah, I'm just the guy documenting stuff. Like, I do believe the real work is to the people who actually program the LSPs and stuff, right? This is the actual work. As about results in weightlifting, how did you fall to get 1,000 pounds? I'm actually pretty close with 1,000 pounds though. Like for 1,000 pounds, where do I write this down? Can I write this down somewhere? Excalibur. I think it's .com, no? It's .com? Okay. So you need, is that big enough? XL. 4. Is that big enough? I hope that's big enough. Kilograms. 1,000 pounds of 455 kilograms. And you have to do a squat and a deadlift and bench press. And now I know right now I can squat, like, you have to do one time. A one-time squat, it's a max repetition attempt, right? So you have to squat, let's say squats 160 kilos one time and deadlifts maybe 180 kilos. 80 kilos, and then you are 340 already. And the bench press, and the bench press would then be 114, something like that. That would be a realistic distribution of that, and you can even choose. You can do, you can choose your squat. You can choose your deadlift. For example, sumo deadlift are easier than conventional deadlift, and so on and so forth. And right now, I have squatting. I know I do 150. I can squat 160 kilo. I do 150 3 times, so I can squat 160 one time. Deadlift, I do 170. So it's not going to be too hard to go to 180. The bench press. I now do 100 kilo 2 times. And I never was stronger than that. I never got beyond 100 kilo. I feel like I would need to be heavier to do the 100. So this one to go beyond 100 kilos. So I'm not too far away from that, but also I have to get a little bit creative with my programming when it comes to that, especially since we want to run the marathon as well. That was gonna be in September in Warsaw. I mean, it's just a rough plan right now. I don't know. I have to register and stuff like that. But yeah, what else do we have? Now, so with your bodybuilding, bench is the hardest one. Yeah, bench is the hardest one because it depends on the angles and everything, right? Thank you. Nice results. And how consistent am I? I actually made a video about this. Channel content. I go here. I made a video about this. Videos. This one. No more. It's over. It is over. No more plateaus. How constantly progress in the gym. I explain what I do and how I do it in this video. Basically training every other day, full body, where I do some sort of heavy lifting. And sometimes if I feel I need 2 days, I take 2 days off. I am more of a runner from my genetics. My dad was a long distance runner, and I feel like you inherit the the potential for your performance is inherited and determined by what your dad did. Like when your dad was a weightlifter, you're more likely to have the capacity for weightlifting, and the white muscle fiber contribution distribution in your body is going to be higher if your daddy was a weightlifter. If your daddy was a runner, you have more red fiber and so on and so forth. And I'm pretty good at running long distance. Yeah. For me, 1 kilo is max on the bench press. For my arms, I have no press weight. Yeah. The way to compensate in the bench press is you just eat shitloads of food and you get heavier. The heavier you are, the less energy is used to balance the weight, because you need to have force to balance the weight, right? To balance the bar. And the heavier you are, the more is your own weight carrying the bar and doing the balancing. And that's why it's easier, just because not even so much because of the muscles, the amount of muscle on your body, but the sheer body weight you have. Everything is easier when you're heavier when it comes to that. Fashion is a beer drinker. If you can do that professionally, I mean, props to your dad though. Props to your dad. Most people have to do that on an amateur level. So is me. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, the Polish C1 test is scaring the shit out of me. Not scaring, but because the Polish C1 test is actually designed. It's designed for foreigners to see how well they integrate into society, basically, and it's designed in a way I do believe most Poles wouldn't pass the C1 test, because you have to be able to have critical discussions about certain things. No, I have to check it out. My teacher sent me the last year's tests so I can prepare. She's a good one. She's a good teacher. I don't want to hate on her too much. But the 10 kilometer PB, I don't know what PB is. I believe the time I'm running, right? It's 44 minutes or something, I believe. I don't have I just do it by memory. I don't have it written down or something. It was in 2020 when they shut down the gyms, and in the summer I need to do something. What is personal best? Personal best, I believe, right? Yeah, 44 minutes something. That'd be 43, something around that mark. And I know running is easier for me, I believe, because I got there within 3 weeks. I was running every day, and I got to the 44 minutes for 10 kilometers after 3 weeks of running. I never did any sort of running in my life. Yeah, my daddy was long distance. Yeah. Waiting a little bit. I feel like there's a delay. A little bit. Yeah. Let me see, how late is it now? Half an hour. Nice progress for so short time. Yeah. I mean, I do believe I'm still far away from the genetical gift of your favorite marathon professional. I do believe to compete in any sport in the top 5%, you have to be extraordinarily gifted and then put in the work, and then maybe you go there. But overall, yeah. I was in Boston last year. Nobody there spoke English, not even university. Yeah, maybe they didn't speak English with you. I did not encounter this, I have to say. I was in Poznan too last year in the summer, and it seemed normal to me. They actually the younger people speak English though, except they don't want to talk to you. I don't know. Sometimes they're weird. Yeah, you would have in Poland. The older people not so much, but the younger people usually speak English, almost regardless of education. So, for example, I was talking to a girl working in. She was a florist, like not any university related academics kind of job. She was a florist. She was perfect English, so I didn't encounter this in Poland. In Ukraine, a lot. In Ukraine, when I was living in Ukraine, it was actually hard to find people, actually, girls who speak actually English. Like a lot of them actually really just speak Ukrainian and Russian. Yeah. But in Poland, it's actually fine. What did you do in Poland then? Was it vacation? I mean, in Poznan, or do you live in Poland, or what is it? I was in Kaufman at a 20-something. Kasia didn't speak English neither. Yeah, you have to check. If she was Ukrainian, I believe that. Did you have the Anastasia or something like that on her little name tag? But the Poles, yeah, Poles actually speak English a little bit more. Did I miss something? If I missed something, please let me know. Yeah. So I'm gonna wait for a couple more questions, and until for 7 minutes or something, 45. And yeah, we don't need to do this forever, I believe. If you don't have any questions, it's Sunday. My girlfriend spent semester abroad there. She does speak Polish. Interesting. How fast did she learn it? To what degree does she speak Polish? Does she actually have lessons in Polish, like from university? Where is she from? What background does she have? Because it's extremely, extremely big where you're from. Like when you're Ukrainian, that's what gets me all the time. When I meet Ukrainians in Poland and they don't speak Polish, that really gets me. That is just so cheap. That tells so much about the character. Because when you have Ukrainian and Polish, I'm just ranting here. I'm just randomly ranting. When you have Ukrainian and Polish, they have 70% of the words are either the exact same or almost the same. For example, Ukrainian would be I will be is in Ukrainian ja budu. In Polish is ja będę. They have it is almost the same, really. So they walk here for 3 weeks and they basically speak Polish. They have to do zero effort. And when they're here for a couple of years and they speak no Polish, it just tells me a lot. Anyways, what is the work plan going forward? You mentioned contract went out. Oh yeah, the work plan. Yeah, I don't want to work anymore. Oh yeah, that thing. I worked for the past, I don't know, 5-6 years. I did nothing else but work. And I feel like I need a break now anyways. And also, that might be worth sharing is in 2023, I had extreme trouble finding a new contract. And it hit me out of nothing. And I found out later why that is. In 2022, it was the gold rush, basically, for everyone, right? You all remember this? I mean, most of you. Where you could easily have 2 super high paid contracts side by side, and you would still get every week or something a new proposal from some recruiter that here's a new position for you if you want to, and da-da-da. It happened to me. 2022... It was every week, basically, I got a concrete new offer. I could just start. It was not even an interview. It was not even, just some random position where I can apply to that. No, I was asked directly, do you want to start in this position right now? Basically every week. And then the contract at the time ended, and I was like, this is just how it's going to go now, because I'm a super duper expert and everything. And then it just stopped. In 2023, right one day after my contract ended, I just stopped receiving emails. I stopped receiving replies from any recruitment company, person, whatever. I had extreme trouble finding a job. And then later I found out, okay, it was because most of the positions you find on LinkedIn or any job platform are fake anyways. Applying is absolutely worthless. And also the overall budget for 2023 at the time was just drastically reduced because people could actually feel the sanctions and the political environment that started kicking in at the time. When the Russians came to Ukraine in 2022. The budget, when the Russians came to Ukraine, it started getting bad, but the budgets for 2022 have already been done. So there was enough budget for IT. And then in 2023, this has been corrected, and I was hit by that insanely. And I was spending 5 months doing nothing but applications for jobs and positions and contracts and everything without anything, no reply, extreme frustration. And then one last resort of desperation was I was starting cold calling people. I just give this away for free now, guys. Just, copy me, whatever. Because it's useless anyways. My idea was, okay, recruiters are bad. No one likes them. I don't like them either. They just take my money basically for nothing. They write an email per year, and that is all they do. So what if if I just cold call programmers who are already in leading positions in some project team on client side who already have a team, and tell them, look, if you need someone C# something, and you need a team member because someone is stopping his contract, or someone is dropping out or whatever, and you need replacement, I give you 5% or something of my hourly rate if you give me the chance to have an interview and I get the job in the end. And that was my idea. And then we'll start cold calling people, and I will reply to your message to your question shortly. And so I was cold calling people, and I was offering them this idea, and they said, oh yeah, no, not interested, and la di da da. And then later I found out, I talked to one guy, and he was in his 50s, he was freelancing for a long time, and he had a couple of employees, and he said, look, sweetheart, really, he talked to me like this, what you're doing, what you're trying to do is cute. But he was actually programming a database for one of the big recruitment companies. He says most of the offers are fake. What they do most of the times is they have... Now, let me get this right. They have one position where they actually... The real position is actually full stack, front and back end databases, for example. And then what they do is... They already have a guy for that, because they already have their network of freelancers they can just tap into to get this freelancer to give them to the client. And what they do is they take this position and cut it into three. So they have now 3 positions, one for database, one for front end, one for back end. Put those 3 positions of freelancermap.com or whatever, and get the CVs from all the people who apply to those positions, who are fake, who don't actually exist. Now have all the CVs for these people to feed into their own databases, because they sell licenses and access to their own freelancer databases for expensive money to bigger clients. So it's a fake database anyways. And he was programming that database, and so he knows the business. He knows how it's going. And those companies can do that because most of the time, bigger companies who are willing and able to sell the big salaries, like $100 an hour, $150 an hour, something like that, those companies have contracts with recruitment companies anyways. Most of the time, recruitment companies are in a position where the client is not allowed to hire anyone without them anyways. So if you call them and say, look, I'm C#, I'm exactly your guy, I'm Blazor C#, this experience, exactly what you're looking for, apparently, according to this position, I'm here. They say, not interested, our recruitment company is dealing with that anyways, have a good day. They're not interested. So it is really hard these days, I believe, in my experience. I mean, correct me if someone has any way to get into a high-paying contract without recruitment companies, let me know. But just make your peace with the fact that it's not possible without them. They are now in the position. They have the leverage, the upper hand when it comes to this game. So you better become friends with some recruiters, I believe, if you want to have this kind of contract. But yeah, that's the reality now. So that was a long story. So that's why I'm not applying to anything right now. I got into the last contract because I speak German. Someone called me, and there was no one with my profile and German speaking skills. My profile kind of was okay. It was Azure Cloud C#, and you find people with that, but not with this particular profile and German skills. And that's why there was 6 recruitment companies calling me as only possibility for this position. And if I just chilled for 6 months and did nothing and chilled my base, they would have called me anyway at some point, and I would just got to this contract, without all the hustle and frustration. But now I learned all these lessons, and I know now that's why I'm pretty chill about this. And I'm just working on my YouTube and working on other skills. I made my peace with that. Someone will call me, will have a contract for me. Actually, I got offers already. Not too sexy ones. That's why I'm not going to take that. But yeah, right now. But right now I do believe like 10 years of experience or something on my CV, all the technology basically. So I'm not too worried about that. Okay. Was in Kaufland, German living, Germany, blah, blah, blah. Any job hunting advice for contracts? Cold emails, lovely, we'll do that. I mean, it was not an advice though. I'm just sharing experience. I don't really know what advice to give on that. for real. You have to have a network. I do believe if there's any sort of advice, I did a webinar. I didn't host the webinar. I was joining the webinar and with some people talking about the positioning yourself of you as a freelancer. I'm sorry for the. And it is not enough. And like 20 years ago, it was enough to have a CV basically, and now you just cannot do this anymore. I've worked for a client that is using English or your native language as a primary communication. We are from Sweden and are not sure it's a good idea to recruit English speakers. I totally get this. I work for German clients who have international teams, and you have to speak English from time to time. But I totally get why you wouldn't have. Yeah, native is important for multiple reasons. Feels like they will get off the loop, so to speak. I'm not sure what loop you're referring to, Herr Jägern. Please be more specific. I'm sure you're referring to something I said, but I don't know exactly. I mean, socially. It's not social. It's not social. It makes sense. I get it. Like for example, they had now. I was just lucky with that contract because they actually when I came, there was another guy of the same team leaving, and so they actually needed two of me to fulfill. And that was unrealistic because they spent 2 years already finding me, so to speak. And now, yeah, they just lifted it and they said, okay, C1 German is fine as well. And now we then later got a couple C1 German people from, Eastern countries, and it's bad. It's just bad. It's enough when you don't understand. It's hard enough to communicate requirements in your native language. Imagine you have to do this in English, like when most of the people who do requirements, they don't do perfect English, to be honest. Even with AI co-pilot and everything, lots of the times it's just still trash. And then they have to communicate this. The domain knowledge, not 100% there already. Now they have to communicate this in a foreign language, and then the other guy who also speaks barely English has to understand this and put this into code somehow. Disaster. I love your videos, Emil. Hi, Emil. Yeah, so it is really important to get the communication straight, and the easiest way is just you have all natives. That's a good baseline for that. It's enough if one point of the requirement is missing, that can mean a programmer is going into the wrong direction for weeks. That can happen, and then 4 weeks are just for basically nothing. If you have bad management along with that, right? No one is really checking on what he's doing and everything. Then you just like 4 weeks, like a full month of work, is like something between German salaries, 15 and 25K, just pissed away basically, just because someone didn't really get everything 100% correctly with the language. So I totally get why they say prefer natives. Okay. They don't even do good requirements in German. Yeah, see, it's hard enough. It's just reality. It's just hard enough to get this straight, and then so I get this. Yeah, Emil, thank you, appreciate very much. Yeah, the IT is tough, man. IT is tough, and I don't really see the whole thing. AI didn't really make it better. What I see now quite a lot is that they have what I said before. They take one a real full stack position divided by 3 and have now 3 fake positions to grab the CVs of everyone. Now I see quite the opposite. I see real positions on LinkedIn. I see that. It's real position, but they seem to run out of budget. You see that they require from one person, all of you know that. You've seen positions like that. You have to have 10 years in Python and 10 years in C# and 10 years in PHP and 5 years in Azure and AWS, and you have all these skills. So basically, like this is basically 5 positions. And AI LLM is a must use AI for that. So I do believe the thinking here is now like they run out of budget because of bad management in the years before. Now they try to get it cheap, and they say, look, we know it's not you doing the work, it's basically the robot, so we don't have to pay you that much. So you get this kind of position with 5 times 10 years of experience, expertise in certain skills, and they pay you $30 an hour or something for that. This is real, honest, genuine positions now. This is what I see on LinkedIn. It just means they have no money. And it means if you take this position, if you get it somehow, it just means you will have constant pressure and constant arguing about why things take so long if you need 10 minutes longer than you estimated before. So this is what you have to deal with then if you take these positions. So it's bad. Anyways, domain knowledge in native language and then English code is a nightmare. Correct. Hard to communicate with upper management people. Correct. I kind of want Swedish terms code base. Yeah, I don't know. Code should be English. To me, it's just code should be English. Like you have to give your client that. The communication in your team while you're working on something is one thing, but then the portability for in the longer term, you won't have other people to be able to alter that as well. And maybe you're gonna have your client is gonna have another team of programmers at some point, and they're gonna speak English or another language. They should be able to read the code though, so it has to be. I'm a fan of English for that. The main terms of German, blah blah. Terms in German, English. Yeah, if you find a mode that works for you, it's highly subjective and it's highly historical, you know. And it's not only about the team of the programmers and the tech people. It's also the business people, right? They have to know what they talk about. So you can't even see my face. I'm gonna do this now. I'm sorry. It's my first stream. I hope you're okay with that. So yeah. Which keyword is that and what layer to use? Yes, this is the ZSA Voyager. I mentioned it in a couple of videos. And now I just close the... So I do this again. ZSA Voyager. There we go. So this one. It's a split keyboard. I mean, it's kind of pointless opening the page when I have the keyboard in front of me. But yeah, I highly recommend. There's so many things to say about this. It's an ergonomic thing. It's a health thing actually. Why I have this. Yeah. And actually, I was thinking I was done with the whole keyboard masturbation kind of thing. I already have I bought years ago. I bought the GMK Pro. For I think it was 700 euros. I don't want to flex here. I'm really not. It's just retarded. It was just stupid to buy this thing. It's just because I had too much. Well, it's 2022. It was 2022, huh? So that is why I had to piss some money away. I bought that. And when you do touch typing, you have your hands like this, like handcuffs, right? When you do proper touch typing, you have to do it like this. And for some people, depending on your anatomy, you destroy your wrists and everything over time. It really depends on if you stand, if you don't stand, and your angles and everything. And a friend of mine, he was doing exactly this. He, in his 40s, discovered that he has a tendonitis, but the inflammation in the forearm, I believe, which makes it impossible for him to type. And so he had to find something else. And he came up with this keyboard, and I saw this keyboard, and he said, Clemens, be honest, how are your shoulders and your neck? And I say, it's a complete nightmare, but well, that's my job, I guess. And yeah, since then I have this keyboard. It's an ergonomic thing. And it has it was pretty painful I would not, if I can go back, I would not take these with the dots. It's just because I'm stupid or I don't know, extra brave. I would take the normal keycaps with the actual letters because but I wanted to force myself to really push it into my muscle memory to typing. And in the longer term, there's a lot of benefits to that. But in the shorter term, it's really, you have to be aware that you're going to be really slow with that thing. What else do we have? Can someone really call themselves German with such a dusty monitor? Okay, Mr. Young. Shots fired. I remember a lot of videos. My dream keyboard would be a Kinesis. Okay, so buy it then. Good for you. Good to have a dream keyboard. There's a new intern French company. The boss wants me to vibe code everything. The boss wants you to vibe code because he doesn't know what he's doing. I fear that not writing anything takes a massive toll on my learning. How would you adjust for this? It is so hard though. I had reasonable enough bosses. They would listen to me. They would listen to me. You know, And if I'm wrong, they would be very, very able to prove in very short time and with very few sentences why I'm wrong and make me feel very stupid about myself for good reason. And in a moment, I had a boss that would not have this kind of understanding and reasonability and would just try to push his agenda on top of me about just being stupid. I would just leave. And you have to understand that in companies, most of the things are politically. So, yeah, it's not about who is right or what is the best approach. Oftentimes it's sad, but it's not about what is the best approach. It's about who has the longer leverage. And your manager has the longer leverage over you. So you have to find, if you cannot convince him that it's a bad idea to vibe code everything, you might work out a plan where say, look, I would like to use AI as an analytical tool, but I don't want to use it as a co-pilot because it diminishes my understanding. And I will make a video, by the way. I will one more AI video, one more timeless classic that you can share in 10 years that will prove one more time that it is just you shouldn't use LLMs baked into your IDE that does auto completion and auto file generation, all the stuff. You just shouldn't use it as work at work. I'd say do what your boss wants and learn in your personal time to really move forward in tech. Yeah, it's the thing is this, like, there's an absolute truth of things. Like, do I have an afro? I don't. Right? This is absolute truth. So you can say now, well, depending on the culture, you might call the haircut, something special, whatever, but I do not, it's not an afro. That is binary. It's just not. And certain things, it's just, the longer you try to just push AI into everything, it's just like fighting gravity. It's just people management position, especially the fewer understanding they have, they're just so... Yeah, I have to be careful how I say things here because we're on YouTube and everything. But it's a sort of greed, right? They're just so illusional so delulu about this. They just think, oh man, like one day technology, one day we don't need the programmers anymore. There's annoying programmers. We don't need them anymore. And as long as we need them, they have to vibe code because I say so. Without reading the studies, without looking at the results, and they really don't care. Because, let's be honest, in the short term, everyone builds something with AI in the short term, and that can oftentimes be enough to keep the man's job, right? But we did deliver something in the past 2 weeks. I mean, it's not perfect, but what is perfect, right? And then all these errors that come 2 years later or 1.5 years later because of something vibe coded at that point in time, well... then so be it, right? It's just, I don't know. It's also a measure of character. Already coding, that's cool. Like when you code in your free time, that means you like a job. That's a good sign. Poison company or dirty game. I like to go straight to the point. Sometimes it can come out the wrong way. Yeah. Never talking... Talk about the problem you are trying to solve. Ask for source, documentation. It's amazing for learning. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. I see projects on YouTube in any language but C#. I don't really see people code C# in live streams. Correct. Because it's not fancy. You have, that's also important. It's the same with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a bubble. It is just so out of touch with reality. It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And YouTube is kind of the same. You have to understand that a lot of times, a lot of stuff you see tech people talk about and code in and stuff like that is actually sponsored. Especially products like, what's that, N8N or something like that, right? A lot of stuff is sponsored and pushed like a product. And so it's meant to be popular on YouTube. It doesn't mean that it's actually equal for that in reality. For example, if you go on, I share my screen. If you go on freelance.de, which is the biggest freelancing site in Germany, and I just type in, what is fancy right now on YouTube? I think Rust. Let's just say Rust, right? Anything in Rust, and I say it is almost Yeah, it's one page. It's one page. It's not too bad though. Last year was nothing. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's not too bad, considering that half of that is fake. It's not too bad, but it's still nothing. And when you go C sharp, then you see, yeah, we have three pages of 25 hits. We have 70 projects right now that you can somehow apply to. So it's much more C sharp in the reality, at least German speaking area, and also in corporate America, I would say, and other countries, even Russia. Russia has a lot of C sharp. I heard. So yeah, you have to really be careful with that, what you see on the interwebs. What else do we have? Use the LLM to learn also about best practices and write it himself. Yeah, that would be the way. Just because Windows got pretty bad lately, they come stuff like yeah, that's important to say. C# is a beautiful ecosystem. It's extremely mature, and you can build anything with it. And you cannot build anything with Rust. I mean, yeah, if you go hacky, you can, but C# is just so mature. You can get up to speed so much. And this is what is important in business: getting up to speed fast. And confirmed by Russia. See that? Do you live in Poland for work? I live in Poland for living. Actually, I can choose where I work and where I live, and my personal preference is Poland. Also because I have still family in Germany, and my mom and my dad and my brother. And Poland is overall right now the best option for me when it comes to everything. It's getting more and more like German. Getting more and more like German though. So we'll see. Work on a project that is like Shed in the UI but for Blazor. Shed CN. I have to Google Shed CN. Shed CN foundation for your design. Oh, it's like a component library. Okay. I can take a look. Sure. Sometimes called Pango UI. You know, there's Mud Blazor, which is also, I build stuff with Mud Blazor. A lot of components for free even. I don't know if they have a pricing now. No, they don't have a pricing still. It's still for free. Shout out to my boys. And you said Pango UI. I think I even heard of that. Calebi Santos. Shameless plugging in that shit right here. Collection of icons for Blazor they can copy paste into your apps. Build with Tailwind, interesting. Okay, I can have a look. That's also this one thing. If you have now, you have Mud Blazor, and getting people to use Blazor is hard enough. Getting people to use Mud Blazor for Blazor instead of Dev Express, for example, or something else, is hard enough. And then getting people to use your UI components over all these big names in these Blazor niches is also hard enough, right? So if you're passionate about building a project like this, cool. But yeah, it's tough competition, man. And I, for example, I will not rebuild. I tell you right now, I don't care how good this is. It might be super duper good library. I don't care. I built my thing already in Mud Blazor. I will not migrate. Okay. Is that enough, Carlos? I'm just asking career-wise, would you recommend specializing in a specific stack or staying open to anything? You stay open in your mind to anything, but become really, really, really good at a certain thing. And then that is why that's why I said before, it's not enough to have a CV. Like 20 years ago, it was enough to have a CV. That was enough, basically. And you get super duper top opportunities on the freelancer market, and then LinkedIn came, and then juniors came, and then which is more and more people in IT, and it became a little bit harder. And now you have to have a reputation in your CV. And now your reputation is not enough. You have to have people seeing you. Offshore is now very big again, and AI is coming. So you have to be good at something. And you have to make sure that people see that you're good at that thing somehow. Right? So a lot of people do that on LinkedIn. A lot of people have dedicated LinkedIn profiles. I'm the Blazor guy, for example, or I am the unit testing guy, or I am the Azure guy, or the sometimes cloud or DevOps guy. And then you specialize in these things that really interest you. And then, be public about this somehow, I would say. Boss can let LM migrate and then hire you back. That's actually what's gonna happen. That's actually true. The only difference is that puts the source code of the component into your project, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, look how Microsoft built Blazor. Look how Blazor feels like. Do I have a Blazor project? Ramboe memo. Do I have a memo? Ramboe memo. Okay, this is a Blazor project right here. .NET build. Typing on stream is just so different. Didn't even make sense to build. Pages, error, where is it? Okay. Blazor shared, some components. No. Let's take this one. This is Blazor, and this is so close to anything you know already. It's just so close, right? It almost looks like Angular. So it's very easy for anyone to adapt to this. This is not by accident. This is by design. It should be easy for people. And I don't know why I don't get syntax highlighting here. So actually, that's interesting. Interesting. I can now tell you that I just reinstalled this machine right here. So on my laptop, everything works. But interesting. I will take care for this. But it looks like Angular, and that is why it's easy to adapt. So it's by design. And yeah, you want to have, if you have a product, you want to make it as easy as possible for people to adapt to this product, because now just so much other products that your client or your potential client base already has or already looked at or something, right? And no one wants to learn just one more thing. No one wants to pay for one more subscription, right? So I think that's important. As we have. Okay. I like the branch name. Yeah, migrating to the bitch. The bitch is a machine in my apartment, and I had to change the project so I could run it because of the URLs and domains and caddy and all of the stuff. So I have to change some things. And damn. Yeah. What else do we have? Yeah, one last word, because that is really, that's a thing. Generally in life, I would say, life coach Clemens. It's just when you in an environment that is unhealthy or toxic or whatever, you don't have to do this. You don't need that job. You really don't. Well, if you're really honest, like, no one needs a shitty job. No one needs a shitty relationship with anything. So you can always just walk away. If you have a certain vision of yourself, or you want to be a certain person, and you know that your current environment is holding you back from that thing, then there's no way to stay. It's just it's not worth it. And I had this situation a couple times in my life, also with employment. I had a boss who was like, I was one of two people in the company who could fix the database. and there was another company, but I was a student, and the policy in this company was that students have to do first level support for some nonsense. It was not even technical. It was not even IT first level. It was really, really garbage. And I was one of the two people. The other guy was on vacation, so I considered this the main priority. I was audacious enough to think for myself, and I was attempting to fix the database, right? And boss came in and said, "No, you go do first level, and then you clean my car." And he came in like, just like this, and then you clean my car, as if I was some kind of slave. And I just walked away. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I wish you all the best, and good luck with your life. Basically, yeah. That's a very short version of that story, but you don't have to do this. Just leave. You can always talk with people. Sometimes, it's communication is tricky sometimes. Maybe you have your manager who wants you to vibe code, means all well and good. But if that is not the case, and if it's just an ego and political thing, just leave. So we find something better, I promise you. Pringles review. Yeah, the Pringles. It's a cheat day today, though. It's actually like a cheat day, like every day, right? But today is like, I actually did fasting Thursday and Friday, and going completely nuts this weekend. And it's also, it's just today. Tomorrow is going to be normal, high protein, high fat, low carb. I thought about leaving for sure. Only thing making me stay is that it's something I can put on my CV. Yeah, apply now. What about applying now? Test your CV right now. If you apply for jobs or whatever now, and you have success with that, or at least interviews, interview would be a success, right? So people are interested enough into you to talk to you, despite or because of your CV, and then okay, you don't actually need this station to be successful, and so you don't need that. Again, I don't want to quit your job because some streamer on YouTube said to quit your job. I'm just saying, if your environment is not serving you, there's bad environments. Okay. Yeah. I would give it 5 minutes now, because I'm getting tired too a little bit, and looking for a little bit better preparation for another one, I guess. And see if I can address your questions here in some videos. Yeah, always welcome. I really appreciate this. So thank you for coming, taking time, everything. You never know when you put yourself out there, what's gonna happen, right? And always check everything when it comes to advice. I had this conversation the other day with a friend, right? I guess you all know John Blow, right? Who said like most advice on the internet is most likely trash because the people who are actually competent, they don't have time to give advice on the internet because they're too busy being competent in their coding. So always double check and use your brain, right? With everything. Yeah. Balabaika, where are you from? Where are you from? And you're welcome. You're welcome. My config, my dot files and everything is under most videos. You find that, yeah. Yeah. Don't be web developer. Yeah, do what's fun for you, man. Do what you enjoy. In the end, right? Russia. Привет. That was my Russian. Okay? Minyazavu, I know Minyazavu, and that is it. I was looking at Omarchi. Yeah, I didn't see a need to migrate. I'm happy with my setup. It is an inopinionated Arch Linux with pre-installed Hyperland, right? I also have Arch Linux with Hyperland with my configuration, so 15 years experience, heavily used Blazor, cool. All coding done in NeoVim, cool. Also Voyager, cool. Okay. Yeah, and you're also bald, white, blue eyes, 35 years old. I have to talk to my mama where she left my twin. I use the same config level, cool. Yeah. I do believe what Seema says, have approximately 15 years, almost same setup. Oh, do we have a video on intro to Arch and Hyperland yet? Not really. I will combine this with the laptop video, I believe. Makes sense. At least touch on it a little bit. I use the jar coolid configuration. Jar coolid hype. There we go. Hyperland Arch. I use this one. I install Endeavour. There we go. Endeavour S. I installed this one. This could be the video already. I installed this one with the... When you then install it, you choose GNOME. You can also do the other thing. What is the other thing? It's not... KDE. You can do both. GNOME works better for me on the laptop when it comes to Bluetooth and everything. Sometimes if I tried the other one, it sometimes wouldn't have Wi-Fi. Whatever, and then I just install the Arch Hyperland script and then give it my own dot files, and then that's it. And then I end up with basically the same thing as you get from Omarchi. Oh, he's all not bald. I see. Okay, yeah, good for you. Good for you, not bald. Good for you. Yeah. Like the whole thing. But I do this on the next stream. I just don't stop talking. Okay. And I do believe we're pretty much done, right? We're pretty much done with the questions so far. We talked about career, LinkedIn, frameworks. Yeah. Yeah, and of course I will keep every one of you updated if I have something that I find interesting to make a video about that you don't find on YouTube, because that's the whole point of my channel, to make stuff you don't find on YouTube. So to actually add value to the community and not just... redigest what's already out there, then I will make a video, of course. Love your content. Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. We have a couple of Russians here, right? Is it Ivan? Ivan sounds Russian too. That's a cool thing about YouTube. You see like the whole world, right? You can just reach out. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Gönnen. I hope I didn't share this one. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Sorry for exposing you. Sorry for exposing you online. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm going to close the live stream. I have a little bit of delay, so it might be there will be a message or a question or something while I'm closing the live stream. I will address this the next time. I look into the camera, so it's authentic. I wish you all a lovely start until the next week. Yeah, have a good one. And thank you all for coming. See you next time. Bye-bye.